Are not overrun with people saying their dogs have been damaged or injured by these things. He says quite the opposite, that a lot of people have got better behaved dogs through using these.
What Lord McNair actually fails to address there is, this isn't what the Kennel Club's saying, this is what independent, deaf-refunded research is saying. Actually, the second piece of research, the protocols were set by the Electric Collar Manufacturers Association themselves, and even in that case, they found that the dogs were no better trained through negative training methods such as shock collars, as opposed to positive training, so positive reinforcement, things like clicker training. The dogs are actually trained to a better degree when livestock chasing with positive training methods, which is a common argument used by the ECMA as to why they need to be used. So actually, it's massively, well, misguided and wrong for him to say that.
We will give you a chance to talk about that again a bit later, Ms McNair and Victoria. Thank you very much indeed. We're talking about this at 9:20, I think, and keen to hear from viewers as well. If you're at home, if you've used them or you've never touched them, do let us.
Yes, just glancing down, I can see lots of you already sending us messages. Thank you very much, and we'll look at some of those later. We're going to have a look at the papers this morning. Bishop Stephen Lowe is here. Very good morning to you, all right?
Good morning. I've got now a new method of training errant clergy. If we put dog collars on them of that kind, then obviously we can actually make sure that clergy were one way or another, wandering off.
It's been an interesting time, hasn't it? Church of England in the headlines.
Very much so. It's also getting into the silly season as well, and we've got some interesting silly stories this morning as well, which we shall deal with later on.
Okay,
but first
let's just quickly talk about what with Wonga and what happened this week. I mean, he was said to be furious, wasn't he?
Yes, I mean the whole Wonga stuff, which I was going to deal with later on.
Oh, sorry.
8:20 time, big time. But I mean,
do it briefly now.
The pensioners of the church. People forget that the church has got an enormous number of pensioners, and it has to have a pension fund, and therefore the church is getting lambasted for having a pension fund that is actually earning some money, and that people are saying, oh well, it's dangerous, it shouldn't be investing in this, investing in that, investing in the other. Clearly it was a problem that actually the Archbishop came out with a attack on Wonga, and then found that by indirect means the church was investing in it. But actually the important story here is the church is offering something as an alternative to the payday lenders.
Okay, we'll talk about that more in an hour. It's not just the Church of England's finances. Prince Charles's finances also under the spotlight in The Guardian today.
This is a fascinating story in that Prince Charles is actually selling water to the Arabs, although he is actually maintaining that he is a green employer and a green entrepreneur. And actually the cost of actually selling this water overseas to the Arabs, and the actual ecological cost, if you like, is quite extraordinary. The Guardian is saying the deal is completely insane. Why on earth is he trying to talk about reductions of greenhouse gas emissions and attacking the global food industry, while he's shipping vast quantities of commodities around the world and actually selling water to a country where there is already plenty of water, thank you very much, through their own means.
6,000 miles it's going from Scotland to the Middle East.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You've got a sort of picture story here, really, isn't it, about
well, this is extraordinary. This is what I mean about the silly season. The paper has spent, the Telegraph has got this in many of the other papers this morning. The story of the cat that ended up the tree. It's definitely a silly season story. But here, hold the 999 calls. We're busy with the cat up the tree. You can see that the fire service, the police, the Coast Guard. The Coast Guard were involved with swans, but one way or another, rescuing animals has made the newspapers today, and they're actually saying, well, what should we be doing about this? I mean, the question comes to me, do we leave the cat up the tree and not call in the fire the fire service to rescue it, or and let it die. The RSPCA have called the fire service out, but there's a lot of complaints about so much resources being used to rescue the cat up the tree.
Having spoken to firefighters who've rescued lots of cats from trees, what they say is that they go to do it because otherwise, distressed owner goes up tree and
yes.
has an accident.
Exactly.
So that's what they, their sort of response would be to it.
So why is it a big story?
Yes, good question.
The Care Quality Commission, which has hardly been out of the headlines the last few weeks, the story in the Mail saying that bullying was rife there. They've got some figures.
This is a very serious story, actually. This is the body which is supposed to look after our National Health Service in making sure the quality of care within the National Health Service and in care homes is at the highest level. And one way or another, what's been going on in the Care Quality Commission is very serious. There has been serious bullying. The morale of staff is very low, says this report. And I think we are facing something of a crisis, growing crisis, in the National Health Service. On the same page, maybe should can, there's Ann Clwyd talking about the situation in Wales. I'm living in North Wales at the moment, where its own health authority is in serious trouble at the moment. This is in South Wales, where the Labour-run government in Wales is finding that its health service is facing major problems. And one way or another, I think we're going to see the NHS dominate our headlines over the next year and a half and be a major general election issue.
Okay, very interesting. You could talk about Wonga later. We'll talk about peers later as well. We're out of time for the moment.